Hey sis, does your makeup look like this? Do you want it to not look like that? Do you want it to look like this? Stop scrolling, keep watching, because I'm gonna help you take your makeup from this to seamless, skin-like, flawless filter makeup. Step 1, make sure you're using a good, gentle, quality cleanser. This is the Idyllic Cleanser from Glymed Plus. This is what I use. Next, use a good hydrating toner. These are the two I'm really liking right now. This is the Pharmacy Honey Milk and the Tier Milk Skin Toner. Prepping your skin for makeup is literally so important. And it's the only way your skin is gonna look so seamless is if your skin underneath looks as seamless. So having a good skincare routine and skin prep really goes a long way. Next, a good serum. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Serum. This is amazing for makeup prep. I also love the Tier Glowy Skin Serum, I think is what it's called. And just work that into the skin. And then you want to moisturize. This is going to be your primer. The only primers I really like using are like sticky primers. So I really like the e.l.f. gripping primer. But just for every day, your moisturizer is going to be your primer. So find a good one. This is the Glymed Comfort Cream. This moisturizer is so beautiful under makeup. Another tip is not to add too many products on top of one another. I always think my makeup looks better when I have less on, so I only use one serum, one moisturizer, call it good. I don't like layer a bunch of different stuff, if that makes sense. This is kind of an extra step. You don't have to do this, but I always do some kind of like glowy skin tint or like a tinted SPF. These are the two that I'm loving right now. I'm gonna use the Hourglass Veil Hydrating Skin Tint, and I work this in with my hands. I also just went ahead and did my brows because they're not important for this. Okay, now that we're done prepping, finally, you're gonna wet your beauty blender with warm water. Your beauty blender really matters. This is the e.l.f. Total Face Sponge. You really want your beauty blender to be really soft when it's wet. That's what's gonna make your makeup blend really well. I love a satin finished foundation. So I'm using this one by Hourglass. I'm putting this on the back of my hand. Don't be shy with your foundation. I'm going in first with a brush, so I'm just gonna stipple and make sure you cover the entire brush with foundation. So it's not just in like one spot. And then you're just gonna go ahead and go in. I got a spray tan, so this does not match me at all, but it's fine. Okay, so now that we have our foundation spread all around, it doesn't have to look pretty. I just use the brush to like spread it mostly. You're gonna go in with your wet beauty blender and you're gonna pick up the remaining on the back of your hand and you're gonna cover your entire sponge. Sometimes I even take it off the brush a little bit if I need a little bit more. And then you're gonna lightly blend all of this out. So see how I'm not swiping, but just lightly patting. You're just gonna do this all over until the makeup is literally melted into your skin. Look how seamless that looks. Okay, now that your foundation is blended out, you want to be mindful of what you're putting on next. Makeup is typically usually either oil-based or water-based. This foundation that I just used is water-based, so everything that I want to use after needs to be water-based. Oil and water don't mix. So what makes you think that they're going to mix doing your makeup? So you want to be especially careful when choosing your makeup that they are based from the same ingredient. So I just blended my concealer, kind of using the same technique that I did for my foundation, going in with a brush to kind of spread the product around and then just really solidifying it with the beauty blender. Going in with bronzer. This is the Say Liquid Bronzer. This is water-based, so it's gonna look really good with everything else that I've laid down. I have this laid down on the back of my hand and I'm gonna do kind of, again, the same thing. Spread it around on my hand, really coat my brush in it, and go in that way. This is how you get a seamless blend every single time. Going in with my sponge now, same technique on the back of the hand first, and then go into the skin. I feel so snatched right now. Going in with my liquid blush now. Now this blush in particular is silicone based. This is why everyone loves this blush because it's silicone based and can work with either or. So it always looks beautiful no matter what is under it. So this blush, as we all know, can get a little bit crazy. So I'm pretty much just kind of stippling that on the back of my hand and then I'm gonna go in just like that. And we can be a little crazy with it. It's gonna look pigmented, but that's fine because the sponge sometimes takes away a little bit of that pigment. I'm gonna go in on the back of my hand again, and then just blend that out. Now that our liquids are put down, it's time for powder. I think this is where a lot of people go wrong when it comes to putting on their makeup. I learned this tip from Jaclyn Hill. She's a queen. A finely milled loose powder is very, very important for this stuff. This is the Huda Beauty Easy Bake. You're gonna take your wet sponge, the pointed side, and you're gonna coat it in your loose powder and make sure you tap off a little bit of the excess. I'm gonna go in again on the back of my hand and just kind of like even this out essentially, and then you're gonna go in. And whether you wanna bake or you just wanna powder all over, you can do whatever you want. I'm gonna bake for this step because my under eyes be creasy. So I do go in a little bit heavier under my eyes just to avoid creasing, but now I'm gonna go throughout my entire face and I'm gonna bake a little bit under where I contoured. And now that you like just have the excess, this is where you're gonna set your entire face. And yes, you are going to use your beauty blender. Now, I'm doing this very, very lightly. Like I am patting so light because especially with this hack, a lot of people can make the mistake of going in too rough and that's gonna make everything break up. This is how I get poreless, seamless skin every single time. I use my sponge for a lot of my steps, as you can see. Now I'm going in with my powder bronzer. This is where stuff can get a little crazy. For this, you wanna make sure that you're using a fluffy but a dense brush. I'm using the Milani bronzer, but you wanna go in and you wanna coat your entire brush. Again, don't be shy, girl. You can never use enough makeup. Make sure you tap off the excess. And just like you would for liquids, you're gonna use a really light stippling motion. You're not gonna swipe. That's where shit gets crazy. You just wanna lightly stipple. All makeup moves around no matter what you do to it. If you're brushing and swiping other products on top of each other, it's gonna move around, it's gonna break up, and it's not gonna look good. Instead, you just wanna blend, and like I said, just lightly stipple. So again, I'm just gonna coat my brush, tap off the excess, make sure you really get it on there, and then just again, light stippling motions. Same thing. Another hack that I really like is coming up on your temples with your blush. It makes you look really snatched. This step is optional, but I'm always gonna be a highlight girly, so going in with Champagne Pop. This you wanna use a thinner, fluffier brush for, and this you can kind of swipe just because the brush is not as dense, but you wanna be really, really light touch with it. Like you don't wanna go in too hard. My favorite part. Okay, our complexion is done. As you can see, definitely not matte. This is where the magic happened. This is another tip I learned from Jaclyn Hill. This is just a promo video. You're gonna go ahead, you're gonna spray your sponge with your setting spray, let that sit for a second, and then you're gonna douse your skin in setting spray. Like to the point your face is wet. I usually have a little handheld fan, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. My skin looks so good. Okay, so my setting spray is about 75-80% dried down. I'm gonna take my sponge and I'm gonna lightly press everything in. This is literally my little magic trick. And not only does it make your makeup look amazing, it makes it last forever. Oops, I'm full glam now. But that's how I get my makeup seamless every time. Thanks for watching. Love you guys.